Being 7 o'clock on September 17th, 2018, I would like to open the school committee meeting for Foxborough, held here in the Foxborough High School Media Center. Our agenda tonight are visitors, approval of minutes, teaching and learning highlight, the FHS Link Crew, Ms. Diana Myers-Packla and Link Crew leaders, back to school update, Dr. Amy Berdos, first reading of policy EFD, student food services accounts, superintendent's goals for 2018-2019, Dr. Berdos, reschedule October 1st school committee meeting due to a conflict with the special town meeting. School committee appointment to the PCC, Project Contemporary Competitiveness, Board of Directors for 2018-2019 school year. Music activities account proposal.
I think you skipped one. The mask.
Oh, sorry. This is important. We have some wonderful things coming up for our convention this year, and some of my favorites are already double scheduled, so I have to choose. Wait a minute. The school committee appointment delegate to Mass Convention will come before the school committee appointment to the Project Contemporary Competitiveness Board of Directors. Then we will move to music activities account proposal, Mr. Euchner, other matters. Do we have any visitors at this time?
No, you're not visiting.
Jack?
You're scheduled visitors, people. This is very important. Sure.
Just wait till you get us.
Yes.
Are we all set?
We're all set, Mr. Othlet. Could you please state your name and address?
Jack Ottolet, 7 Baker Street, Foxborough, town historian of Foxborough, here as a citizen. The purpose of my being here is to seek your approval for me to provide copies of my expanded version of Foxborough World War II book to the libraries at Foxborough High School, the Hearn School, and to the America at War class here at the high school. But in my 60-plus years of editor of the Foxborough Reporter and then historical contributor to the Foxborough Reporter, I had many, many opportunities to write endless news and feature stories as well as columns about the success of our local school system and its graduates. But it occurs to me that just the last few years of bringing this book to conclusion, I've been kind of out of the cycle here, and there were several things happening within the school system that was just so fabulous. I would have wanted to write extraordinary things about it. I did not get that opportunity, but if you would allow me to digress just a little bit this evening, if I didn't bring up some of these things that I thought were so spectacular, I would feel I let you down. So if I have your permission to do that. With the implementation of the tuition-free full-day kindergarten last year, there were no fees for any student in the Foxborough school system. Now, I mean, that is just beyond belief in most communities. But in addition to the broad choice of studies, the students can seek to find their own voice in science, literature, music, art, as well as advanced studies, and move beyond the question of what they want to be to who they want to become, and start building the framework in a community where we care for one another and a school system that encourages every student to reach higher. But I just can't imagine. I have a number of grandchildren that would love to be able to move to Foxborough for their children. And we had Deb Spinelli retiring on the crest of the wave, her assistant, Dr. Barrows, ready to step in. But When Deb left, she left with sensitivity training and the required reporter status in place for every town employee or volunteer who would be dealing with students in the school system. This move had the school department taking the strongest possible position to protect every student from any form of abuse. And I think, again, just an absolute incredible achievement of this school system. The decision to create athletic facilities on campuses for the high school sports teams so that both the high school and middle school teams would have their own facilities. And it gets a definition of home and away games a little close. But also the student leaders coming forward with a request to the school administration to honor classmate Sam Burns and his inspirational fight for life by naming an athletic field for him. The request warranted approval by many, but I was so impressed that the school committee would turn this into a teaching moment. As popular as that request might have been, we have a policy about naming things. A copy of that policy was given to the students. They were invited back at the next meeting to say how their request fit that policy. They came back and they made the most magnificent request. And it was approved in a heartbeat, with a heartbeat. And I think Foxborough is such a caring community, and we can see that it is as alive and well within the school system and within the student body as it is anywhere in this town. So I thank you for allowing me to do that. But now the business at hand, the expanded World War II book. Now, obviously, there are many, many more servicemen and servicewomen in this book than we had in the 2003 version. And just able to update some of the earlier stories, add to it. But just the privilege of sharing a story. For example, a soldier under combat conditions broke a cardinal rule of any infantryman in the field. He had been soaking wet for days. He's in the foxhole, enemy firing overhead. He needed some relief. He removed his boots. One thing you never, ever do in the field. A short time later, he felt something against his foot. An enemy hand grenade had landed and rolled down into his foxhole. If he had his boots on, he never would have felt that. As it was, he got it out in time, so he was only wounded, not killed. But just to think of being that up close and that personal with one of our servicemen in the dead of night, in the height of battle. There's a new section in the book, Families at War. Can you imagine some of these families, 3, 4, and 5 men in the service at the same time. Picture the Bagley family of East Foxborough, 5 brothers in the war, 3 sisters and their mother busy on the home front, rolling bandages for the Red Cross, promoting war bond sales, and the father serving as an air raid warden. With one exception, not one word had ever been written about that family's war experience. I couldn't wait to get them in here. We had some father-son combinations, even a mother-daughter enlistment. In the first issue of the book, there were veterans listed as missing in action, about whom virtually nothing was known. Their military service and confirmed deaths are now fully documented in the book. There are stories of men who went from Normandy all the way to Berlin on foot, others involved in the largest mobilization of forces in the Pacific, preparing for an assault on the Japanese mainland, others who, following the war, would bear witness to the force of the atomic bombs being tested. Operation Recognition is featured when Foxborough High School issued diplomas to men in the classes of 1943 and 1944 who had left school to go to war when the fate of the world hung in the balance. Some returned and earned their diplomas. Others went on with their lives. They were summoned back to school in 1999 when their life experience was recognized as qualifications and they were presented their diploma from Foxborough High School. They were proud. Two men from Foxborough played prominent roles in the peaceful pursuit of nuclear energy once the veil of secrecy had been removed from the Manhattan Project that developed the atomic bombs that finally brought the World War to an end. It is difficult to finally send this book to the printer because there was always one more name I'd come across, or one more thing, and you see one man and you realize, my gosh, he had two brothers in as well, and I'm not going to press without them. So we finally got it done, and it's a matter of public record, and I think now generations yet unborn can come back and see what that greatest generation did and reaffirm the fact that we are the land of the free because of the brave. So I have the books. If it would meet with your approval, I would then, the books are signed, but I would then write each of the library and the name of the class in there and just leave them with you to distribute. But I do thank you for your time, your patience, and the privilege of being here this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank
Any-
you. Thank
any
you.
questions?
Thank you.
I
I
think it's our privilege. It truly is, for your passion and your deep knowledge to be here, to share all of your expertise with us, and to be able to have those tributes to those families that, for the expanded piece, it's so wonderful, and it truly is our privilege. You've helped us so much along the way. I think about all the bus tours for our new teachers who come on board. I will be honest and say that with not having Deb Spinelli this year for that, I really missed you.
But I cannot tell you how much it meant to me personally to be in that place in that time when I could be with all these new people coming in to this fabulous system. But I wanted so much for them to know us as a community and to share with them the sense of community that brought us together to want to be a town and who all the different schools were named for and all of that, so they had a greater level of familiarity. And,
And they do because of your writings.
yeah.
And we still use those, and we might need a little bit of update there with some as well. But
I would, I'm just so proud of what we do for the students that come in to the school system here. And it was always such a joy to help. It was always so great to do the history tours, but then to have the children visit the museum. And we would then build on what the teachers had done in the classroom. They had done an excellent job. But every time, as the tour concluded, I would do a little wrap-up and say, now, what is the most important thing in this entire building? And they would name all the different things, and I said, no. The most important thing in this building right now is you, because you are the future. I am the past. All of this will be in your hands someday. And I think that's one of the greatest things in our life, that we can take what our founding fathers did, rehab, rebuild, pass it on. So forever it reaches generation to generation. So with your permission, I would just step over to the counter, put the rest of the inscription in the book, and I thank you so very much.
we thank you.
We thank you.
Thank you.
We thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
Very generous.
Our students are lucky.
Well, we
And
as a town are
congratulations on
lucky that
publication.
Mr. Othlet lives here. I would like to ask the school committee a question, please. I'm going to invite Mrs. Meyer. Oh, no, we have to, I will do do it right after the approval of minutes. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's do approval of minutes first, then I have a question for you all. Want to take our regular meeting of August 27? Are there any additions or corrections?
I had none.
I move to accept the minutes of the meeting for August 27th, 2018, as stated.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor? 500. And now the executive session, please, from July 23. Additions or corrections?
I'd move to accept the executive session meeting minutes from July 23rd.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Thank you, 500.
Make a motion to release the executive session minutes from July 23rd, 2018.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Thank you, Chris. Release, 500. Mrs. Pakla is in the building and will come with her students next. I would like to know, would it be all right with the school committee meeting? Because she is here, could we possibly move our music, from 8:30, our music activities account proposal up to follow the teaching and learning highlights, because Mrs. Pakla's still here?
Sure.
Would that be willing?
Absolutely.
So, Mrs. Pakla, will you please stay at the table? Sure. Thank you. All right, now, could you and your wonderful FHS Link crew come on up? You're so important as guests, you're scheduled in, people.
You know, Bevy, when Jack was talking about the future, our students, I was thinking to myself, we have some great examples right
Right
here
here.
at our meeting tonight. Salute.
I'm gonna let you all do this.
All right.
We won't be able to see you two on TV. Just letting you know, will we?
Yeah,
we have cameras
the
everywhere.
camera's there.
I'm gonna let the students really take it away, and Dr. Burdos too, with this, but we're so excited for this program to have taken off this year with the students that we not only have here, but these students are representative of the 40-ish students, student leaders that we have here in the building, who helped with our transition this year with our ninth graders and are going to continue to grow this program as this year continues on and as we move this forward from year to year. So these are our Link leaders for our Link crew, which is our ninth grade transition program. And just to kind of back it up a little bit, and then I'll let them take off with it. But this program, we sent out our teachers last winter for training, and they came back. Our staff actually nominated students as possible applicants. We met with all of the students who had been nominated. They received an overview of the program and an application to complete. And then from those application selections were made for students. And again, we were looking for as much of a balance as we could in a variety of places, male, female, sports, music, not other activities, just a variety of things to really be representative of the community of Foxborough High School. And then the selected group met in June, kind of had pizza and a get-together then, and an overview, and then they met for training in August in those hot dog days that were happening there, that we had a little bit of an experience of again. And they were here for 2 really afternoon evenings of training as well. And then they've welcomed in our freshmen, and they were here not only to welcome in the freshmen for the orientation program that took place, but on the very first day of school, they were in their Link t-shirts, so that they were recognizable throughout the halls. If students had questions, there were those familiar faces and those familiar shirts that they had. The shirts were student designed, so just to let you know that one as well. And I love the quote that's on the back. It's a Jesse Jackson quote, which is never look down on anybody unless you're helping them up. So a really fabulous, I think really kind of motto for these students and for us for the year. But I'm going to let them take off with it, so go ahead.
So what we did mostly was we started off with kind of just getting to know our freshmen it started off in the gym with like the big group. We had the entire grade sitting on the bleachers, just kind of welcoming them.
Hyping them up.
Yeah, honestly. And then we like broke down into smaller groups, which there was 2 of us, 2 link leaders for every
10
yeah,
to 14.
10 to 14 freshmen, which made it a lot more personal, so that they could have like someone they recognized and that they could talk to, instead of just like a big group and just overarching orientation.
Yeah, and we were with them in the small groups for like 3 hours, I think.
Yeah. Got to know each other well.
Yeah. I know them so well. It was a long time in the classroom, but I like still see them in the hallways, and I'm still saying hi to all my little kids.
Making sure they're getting to their classes all right.
And like when we like split up into our small groups, we all went into classrooms and they got to ask us like anything they wanted about high school, and like really gave them like the inside scoop about like coming up as freshmen here, because like we all were just as scared as them freshman year. So we had a sheet that said what every freshman should know. So we went off of those bullets, and like we all came up with things to tell them, and so they came in pretty prepared on the first day.
A lot of my go ahead.
Yeah.
A lot of my freshmen, they were nervous. You know how it goes. You're going through puberty. Everything's wrong. And they came to me and they were just like, I don't know how I will ever figure out this school. And I drew a map for one of them, and I was just like, please, you can do it. You'll see me in the hallway a couple times at least.
Even the
So, yeah.
smallest thing down to like the lunch schedule.
Oh, the lunch
Just
schedule. Yeah.
Explaining them like that to them beforehand, so like the first day wasn't as overwhelming. So they at least like had lunch schedules, passwords. They had all of that down, so it was a lot less overwhelming.
Yeah, and even on the freshman orientation day, just having them giving them a set schedule of just what they were doing that day, so that they could be walking around the school kind of trying to figure out, oh, like this is a sign swing and then this is where I go next, just so that they can not get lost on the first day and just, yeah.
We also gave them like a little preview of the clubs and everything that we had here, make sure that they don't miss out on everything.
Yeah, and it was really helpful that we were wearing our Link Who shirts on the first day of school, because like we all had so many freshmen coming up to us like, hey, where do I go? Just it's like a familiar face from the summer during their orientation, so that really helped out when we wore our shirts.
Yeah, I know when I was a freshman, I was like always just scared of upperclassmen, because you're small and everyone else is bigger than you. And so I think a lot of them actually felt like a lot more comfortable with us, and they were a lot more willing to like ask for directions.
Yeah, kind of forming a relationship with just as a whole, like between the upperclassmen and the freshmen, but also getting the opportunity to talk with your freshmen like one-on-one with your groups, and being able to form relationships with them, friendships with them, and just kind of allies, so that they can just ask you questions and you can help them through these first couple months and this whole year.
But on top of that, I know as being a freshman now 4 years ago, it's a scary thought that we're all seniors now, besides these two right here in the middle. But I know, even though I feel like this program is great, because there's a lot of students that are new to the area, and I mean everybody is moving up into the high school, which is a huge change, and it definitely was a scary thought. But it's nice to know and show everyone the area and of the school, and all the little neats and tricks like the stairways, how to avoid all the traffic. But
Not stopping in the middle of the hall.
Opening the other door. It's just so many tricks and tips.
But on top of that, the 3 hours we got to spend with them, we played icebreakers. All the new kids, I know I had two of them in my group, but we got to make everyone familiar with each other, and which is great. And I said to the kids, "Hey, here's my number. You feel free to text me if you ever have any troubles with homework, or even like clubs or sports. I know if you don't do sport, there's plenty of clubs out there to do. But yeah, it's a great opportunity, and I wish I had this.
I wish we had this when we were freshmen, because I think it's a big help for them, like knowing that they have us to like help guide them around the school and answer any questions they have. But like, yeah, I gave out my phone number to a few of them, because I had a few of them come up to me on the first day of school, like, you know, like, how do I get to this science classroom? And I had to like walk them down and stuff, and I felt like I was a big help.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were, I was gonna say, yeah.
Going off of what Colby said, I had a new student who was like new to Foxborough as a freshman, so he didn't know anyone in the group. So I feel like it was really nice for him to have 4 hours with 13 other students. And I see him always in the hallway with another kid in his group. They're like wicked close friends. Like both of them are in my gym class and they're always talking. So yeah.
Yeah.
Some of us school committee members were able to, because we had come to meet the new teachers and everything. So we were in part of that alley that they came in, and one girl came running in, and her eyes were, she had the biggest eyes, she said, "This is awesome," as we were all applauding. She thought it was great from the get-go.
And the clap-in was really cool with all the teachers there and all you guys and.
Then
I
the
was down
music.
there, yeah.
It was definitely like really exciting when you guys were all like in the tunnel and then they came over to the bleachers and like I was the one that had to like lead Simon Says and all that stuff. So like we were trying to like get them really excited.
It worked.
Really cool.
You know what's going to be interesting? 8th graders next year were going to be freshmen, but they were the link, some of them were the link crew leaders this year, so it will be interesting how they react on the other end next year when they come in as freshmen.
Going off of what Colby and Sophia were saying about new students to Foxborough, the good thing about Link Crew was it wasn't just limited to the new students in freshman year. There were also students, a lot of sophomores, and also juniors and seniors who
Were brand new students?
Yeah.
So they were included
So we
in that
had,
day?
yeah, we had
Oh,
smaller groups for
excellent.
them, and we also had
I
the
was
big
unaware of
orientation
that.
day for them too. Yeah, so it was for everyone.
What do you think, what do you think the impact has been on the full climate and the culture of the school? So you've made a direct impact on these 8th graders coming up for the first time, being lost and all those things. But do you think that the work you've done with them has kind of permeated through others in the building as well and creating a whole, maybe a different vibe or a unique vibe? Do you notice that?
Yeah, I definitely think that there's a new attitude towards the freshmen because I remember, I think we can all agree that when we were freshmen, there was like the hazing and everything.
It was tough.
But I feel like we can now all agree that through this, not only us, but we can talk to our peers in our own grades and be like, oh, these freshmen, they're actually really cool. And like this freshman, oh, she's on the soccer team, or this one does this. And we can kind of connect everyone in the school and not just people in the blue shirts.
Do you feel as juniors and seniors that you've gotten to work with different people that
Yeah.
you might not have?
It's always
you
good
know,
to make friends.
They actually, like Miss Adamakis and Miss Gomes, purposely paired like each of the two link leaders up. They looked at everyone's activities, like Miss Myers-Packler said, like sports and music, and they purposely paired two people that like weren't alike together.
Yeah.
So that if you're in a group and you don't really like relate to one person, you have another person. So giving them that opportunity.
I think that's a really important part, a piece that you just said there, and really taking people who have varied interests and matching them so you can learn from each other. And the program itself, with being the transition to high school, it really is built on, too, the idea that students help other students succeed. And that's what you're doing, whether it's a matter of them being lost in the hallway. I had a number of freshmen just asking them. You giving out your phone numbers and being open to them texting was huge. They really felt as though I have someone that I can connect to. So it really is about students being, an integral part of the success of your peers.
Well, I think the words, to hear the word relationships, we hear that a lot, but friendship and allies, like when you're talking upperclassmen to freshmen, those aren't words I think I've ever heard before. That is so amazing for these kiddos who are coming up to know that you're their allies, like you have their back and as they're going through this very scary transition.
Yeah.
Very big transition.
Also had like such a big impact like on us like as leaders. Like yeah, it was for like the freshmen and everyone like coming up to the high school, but like it was such a learning experience for all of us too, and like I learned so much just with that like 4 hours with the freshmen. Like we made so many connections with them and like giving them advice, and like you're like feel yourself opening up about high school so much to these kids that haven't even been here yet. So yeah, that was really
And
cool.
like I think like you can agree, and like probably everyone that plays sports, like I had 2 girls in my group that played field hockey. I'm on the field, as you can tell. But I don't think our team has ever been so close with JV.
Yeah, definitely.
Like a lot of freshmen are on like the JV team, and I got really close with 2 of the girls that were in my group, and I see them every day. And when we were freshmen, we didn't really talk to the upperclassmen,
Right.
and we would never hang out.
It was really separated.
Yeah, but this year we're all so close, and it's a really, really fun season.
That's great. That's excellent to hear. I'm sure you guys have inspired them to maybe want to do this when they're rising juniors and seniors.
Like, I definitely wish that we had this our freshman
Yes.
year, as they were saying.
You guys hoping they have this at your college when you get
Freshman orientation.
They do. I mean, they really do. At my son's college, like, they do this kind of thing.
college,
So
like,
it's really
Every
cool.
school has.
Yeah.
Not every school, but a lot of schools. I have twins. One has it and one doesn't, and I can
Oh,
really see
really?
the difference. And she gave us business cards, and it's really been a comfort to my daughter to like have that person as a go-to. So I hope for you guys.
Fingers crossed.
Well, and then it doesn't stop now.
Right.
It's a matter that it's continuing in all of the things that are planned with your advisors and all the hard work that you're putting forth. So thank you for all that you've done to be that role model and that peer support, because clearly it's making an impact, and I know that it will continue to.
Are there specific days that the Link Crew leaders are going to meet with their groups again throughout the year?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry. So, every grade we have our advisory groups. So that's kind of like a homeroom where you get your report cards and everything. But we're starting this year to meet more often, so that we can go then to our original groups of 10 to 14 students, and we can go and be like, how's this, like, what's happening in this class, and like everything like that. And we're also with Spirit Week coming up and everything, we're encouraging them to participate and also encouraging them to
Get
go to
wild.
homecoming and things like that.
That's good. Because they might be too timid to do it the first year.
Yeah.
And just to let you know too, they also, the reach out on that I think was also a huge part, to encourage those freshmen to come to that orientation day. So they were making connections even before that day happened.
Yeah.
So letters went home and they all made phone calls
Yeah, we
home.
had to call them too.
Oftentimes Mike connected with their parents instead.
Their parents answered,
Yes, my Sam told me he made 12 phone calls.
He was my partner. I had to leave early, and I was like, sorry. Like, so he did all of them.
For him too, so he had no problem with it. But he came home, I was like, Mom, I have never talked on the phone so much in my life.
It was
very
all
good,
of the, all the link leaders. But then again, just to have that welcoming piece, and I know a lot of parents were like, oh, I'll get that number, I'll pass it right on, I'll let them know too. So
It's great.
to be able to encourage, and we're looking forward to how this is going to continue to evolve, because it's really going to be up to them how they choose to plan. And yes, we've got Spirit Week and Homecoming coming in a week, and so those connections will be made. They'll be doing some things about clubs and activities still that'll be happening, and midterms, which are all brand new.
Oh,
to
yes.
ninth graders.
A lot to
and,
teach them.
so just a lot that they're going to be doing. So again, they've really gone above and beyond. And we had a couple of our folks who were coming literally off the fields for the for both the training sessions as well as for that morning, for that session for the orientation. So. It's been fabulous, and we're really looking forward to it. They're the pioneers for us, and
Great pioneers, you did a good job.
They've set a high bar, and we're very excited that that bar is going to continue to even rise, as we go along with it.
Thank you to all of you for stepping up and doing this.
Absolutely.
It's really
Thank you
making
so much for
impact.
having us
Thanks for the
tonight.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Years ago, when this high school was brand new, the upperclassmen used to tease all the eighth graders and, oh, it's going to be so big. And then they would tell them things, oh, yes, well, there's a swimming pool on the roof. I'm not going to tell you how to get there. They used to be naughty.
Yeah.
There's that joke definitely comes around every year. They're like, oh, you'll see it when you're a senior. There's a swimming pool on the third floor.
We want our whole school to the roof, yeah?
Perhaps we can go around for those at home, and so you can say your name so
And
they
your
can.
year.
And your year as well, since you're
Please.
not all seniors.
I'm Colby Costa, and I'm a senior at Foxborough High School.
I'm a Kears senior. Love you, freshman.
I'm Amy Trainu, and I'm a junior.
I'm Lindsay Piscatelli, and I'm also a junior.
I'm Tommy Gallagher, and I'm also a senior.
Sophia DeCenzo, I'm a senior.
And I'm Kayla Ames, and I'm a senior too. guys are so old.
Thank you.
How many of you
Awesome.
guys had leadership jobs at Exchange City? Any of you have leadership?
Oh,
Just the train keeps going. I love it.
Sammy was the mayor.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming, guys.
you.
That was
Thank
great.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Clear that they enjoy it too.
Yeah, no, as a parent, I would have been so happy to send my freshmen in to meet these kids.
yeah.
It would have been a big relief to me. So I just think this is a great program, and I'm really
Oh, it
delighted.
is.
What a difference.
And it
it's
works,
made.
Fantastic.
it works so well in the 8th grade. And,
Yeah.
you know,
I've heard great
welcoming
things from
the
parents of 5th graders and parents of 8th graders, so it's all
And we'll have the web leaders in October as a teaching and learning highlight, so you can hear about their
Fantastic.
transition.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's great.
And it will be interesting, I agree with you, Bev, of what their feelings will be
Right.
next year. as
They
the
would- they
freshmen,
probably will
having been in
be-
that leadership role, and now they're going to be the incoming freshmen on
Right,
the other
but-
end receiving.
But they know the positive things that have come out of it, so I would think there is a possibility they would be less apprehensive than some of the others.
Maybe we can have them come and talk next year after they've experienced.
Yes. Okay, Mr. Euchner, would you mind if we jumped you up
Nope.
from 8:30 to 7:35?
So, as you know, student activity accounts have to be sanctioned by the school committee. The advantage of a student activity account is that it is not subject to 30B as far as purchasing and acquisition of items. It is not the taxpayers' money, it's not the school's money, it's not your money, it's the student's money. The music department has basically requested, because of the trip that you authorized them to try to pull together, the actual creation of a music student activity account. So we have numerous student activity accounts from different classes, through, God, I'm trying to think of the foreign languages and everything else.
Clubs, the
So
travel.
it's under the control of the schools. There is a policy and a procedure as far as, sign-offs and who can write checks and stuff like that. But again, it's the students' money. And so in order for the high school to create this added account, you as a board needs to approve it. And then any money they raise in any way, whether it's from families directly or from donations or whatever, can go into this account, be managed, and be ready to be appropriated for when they're actually ready to go. Again, it is under controls so that it's
It'll
not
be run
just
like all the others.
Yes, right.
So we are asking for that account to be created.
Any discussion, people? I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the creation of the music activities account for student account.
I'll second that.
All in favor? 500.
Thank you very much.
Go create.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you, Diana.
Great. Back to school update. Our favorite superintendent.
Well, we're back in school, and everybody seems to be really excited to be back in school, too. We had a really smooth opening, and to see what you just saw, I think that really adds to the smooth opening. This is the transition for our 5th graders, for our high school. They really did make a difference for our students. As far as the heat, despite the heat, teachers even said, kids didn't seem to really mind it. I think it was more probably us adults, but we were fortunate that we didn't start, I think, the week before. We were able to tailor our professional development activities to some air-conditioned spots. But although it's not an official, because October 1st is our official date for enrollment, right now, though, we opened with 2,587 students. So that's pretty similar to the past. We had a little bit less students, not many, but more kindergarten. When we look at our projections for kindergarten, you wait to see what those registrations are. But it's been pretty similar for the last several years. Our opening day, that I think, again, I know, we're so fortunate to have 3 days with teachers to front and load professional development and all of the things to prepare. You heard at the last meeting from the maintenance work and everything that was done, and from technology. So much work goes into preparing the schools to have students and teachers ready to enter our buildings. So it really is all of that preparedness that contributes to that smooth opening for us. In addition to having all of our custodians and maintenance and technology and everything ready for students and teachers, having them in for 3 days, there's not many districts that have the professional development days that we have, and it really makes a difference of preparing them to be ready for when our students come in. Our opening day, Chris, being in a school, harder for you, but to have 4 of the 5 of you able to be at our opening day, I think that's the most that we've ever had. And it really just shows the support that our school committee has for our teaching staff, and it's noticed. So you're teaching at the same time, but thank you. I know you would have been there if you could have. So I think that that really speaks volumes for our staff. People were energized. It was a great day. And then 2 days of professional development. I mean, Allison, you can speak to the professional development because it was fabulous.
I will say the reviews that we got on our professional development this year were outstanding across the board. People were very positive and very receptive. Our format, we work with our professional development committee, and we look at the work that comes out of our teams and committees, and we try to plan very thoughtfully for what is exactly needed for people. So we had one day that was really focused on curriculum, and there were a lot of different sessions that were run by leadership from within our staff, from our department heads, from our directors, from our teacher leaders. And they were all fantastic, and people really appreciated that time to collaborate and do some really positive work and grow. And then the next day, we had a district-wide professional development day. So everybody in the district, pre-K through 12, had the same experience. So we had half the day as an outcome of our review on our policies for preventing bias and discrimination that you heard at the end of the year. We had Dr. Khalees Warnham, who is the founder of KWLLC, Diversity Incorporated. I'm butchering the name of it, but she was fantastic. And what I loved most about her and what people gave us feedback about was that she was a very dynamic speaker. First of all, you could have listened to her for days. I think she'll be back. But she really was teaching us. She used a call and respond technique. She made sure that we were understanding the strategies that she was giving teachers, because teachers said they really wanted to fill their toolboxes with strategies to confront difficult conversations and difficult, even like something that comes up in literature or in the news, and be able to talk about it in class in a productive way. So she was absolutely fantastic. And then the other half of the day, we had all the way from California, Catlin Tucker. She's an expert in blended learning and personalized learning. She's written several books. She's an international speaker, and she was so engaging. And it's hard to please an audience that is that wide, pre-K through 12, and everybody felt that they had fantastic. Actually, pre-K was not with her; they were with Khalees, but it was just a fantastic experience. I took several pictures and tweeted them. The engagement on our teachers' faces was just so obvious, and they left. They were high-fiving each other. They were so excited. They were chatting about how great the professional development was. And I don't know, Amy and I think I felt a lot of pride in that day, and I think you did as well, as our first opening together, and just the collaboration of the whole team, because it takes a village to pull off days like that. Everybody from custodians to food service to all the people presenting, and it was like such a relief when it was over, but it was fantastic. Did I catch it all?
And even like our
Sounds
extended
like you
day,
did.
they came in for the professional development in order to have that cultural proficiency piece. And they were so appreciative of that, because they work with so many of our students before and after school. So to have those tools in their toolbox as well.
Yeah. And they asked for more. So when you get that kind of endorsement, you know you did something right. So we're excited about what's coming in the future. We do believe strongly that that's not a one-day professional development, that we need to keep revisiting that topic. So we're committed to that.
Yeah. So with having those 3 days to kick off the school year, you can't help but be prepared for the kids to come in. But just to see the buses roll in, it sounds a little corny, but it's my favorite day.
Mine too.
To see them back, because it gets a little quiet here in the summer. I mean, we have a lot to do, but it's better when the students and the teachers are here. So smooth opening. All of the principals they continue to talk about how it's just been a really smooth, great opening. I've had so many conversations with teachers like, my class, I have the best class.
Oh, great.
We got the best kids. But they're coming up and they're bringing
got the
that up as
best
far as
system.
conversations. So we're all energized. We've got a great start to the year. A lot of other, as far as updates, we had open house. We're elementary last week, great turnout. We have open house tonight for our 5th and 6th graders. Next week, 7th and 8th grade in high school for open house. So being able to meet families that are coming in and to see, the rooms that teachers have set up and spent so much time. And then we also have updates as far as fields and things that are taking place too. So I'll let you chime in as well.
Sure. As you all know, the Borough project was approved by the MSBA at the end of August. It is on the October 1st special town meeting. That's actually why we're having the meeting. There are a few other articles that got added to that meeting as well. But probably the bright side of this is so far we've gone through, and I handed out a little bit of a timeline for you all to be able to look at. But we have received approval from all 4 of the major committees that have to review this, and I'm actually very pleased to say unanimous. The last one was the AdCom, which did it last week, and with their vote, basically we're going to town meeting with a very strong recommendation for this warrant article to move forward. The MSBA's grant letter has already been received, which basically states that our estimated grant would be about $14,689,000, but it could be as much as $15,331,000 if we spend some of the contingency money on eligible costs. The project cost has come down slightly from what our original estimates are, but we're at $34,671,000. We have already received $700,000 from the town, so we'll be looking for $33,971,567 at town meeting. And again, the grant would be offset to that. There's also a little over $4 million on the cash side that the town has already pulled together towards this project. So we really will be bonding somewhere in the $15 million number over 20 years. And while it's a lot of money, I think everybody who's been involved with this project and everybody we've talked to sees the project as moving forward very well. I think the plans for the project, I think the educational program within the school are all, pretty well developed at this point and pretty well set. So hopefully we'll receive strong approval at town meeting. It is, because it's a bonding article, it does require a 2/3 vote at town meeting. So it's the only kind of caveat that to keep in mind.
But this is not
Get all your
something-
friends to come.
But we don't have to have a special election for a
Correct.
debt exclusion override.
Correct. It's all going to be done within
All going to be done at town meeting.
within the budget itself. The other item, obviously, is the high school fields. Green Acres, as you can see, driving in today, has pretty much assembled with their equipment. They've been on site putting up the construction fencing around the field. Their engineers have been out. You can see a lot of stakes out there. They've already pretty much staked the entire site. They've put it all into their plans, so they basically can come out here and just get going. We're also working on actually it has worked out well that they bid also on doing the concession stands, foundation and excavation while they're on site, and they are cheaper than the other 3 bids we had, so it is going to work out really well for us because we can tie the whole site in at one shot, which was really what I wanted to do, because obviously putting 2 different contractors on a site is not a good thing.
So good.
So we're in good shape on that.
Do we know when we're actually going to do the first shovel?
Yeah, actually, well, it was going to be tomorrow, but I'm highly doubting it's going to be tomorrow, unless it's going to be a shovel of mud. So we'll see. They may.
But this week?
Yes. They're definitely they're ready to start. They're on track here. So
very good.
And again, at this point in the year, we will not get the rubber surface on the track. Everything will be completed except for that. And then as soon as the weather changes in the spring, the rubber surface will be put on. But everything else will be done. The base will be all in. So we'll have access to the turf field and do that track. Potentially may do that track at the end of the school year, or at least at the end of the track season, just so we don't have to take it offline again during the school year. So do our
It'll be
best
up
not
for
to.
the spring season?
Huh?
The field will be available
Yeah,
for the spring
that's what we're
season.
gonna try to go for, yeah. That's all I have.
This is good news.
Yep.
Great, thank you, Bill.
The only other, as far as update, as far as the technology and the website, so we're waiting, we've moved content migration, so there's the behind-the-scenes work, so we expect for the website in the next week and a half to start transitioning that over, so that's exciting too.
Great.
And Chris, I'll give you, your parking lot's finished. It's paved and lined.
I drove it, so I just saw that.
It is paved?
Yeah.
Oh, I now.
Actually laid out the lining today, came out pretty good.
I'll have to drive by and look.
How many spaces are back there? So what does that bring us to?
It's about 48 spaces
Yeah.
in that particular area. And obviously, there's a couple handicap, and there's also a way for the emergency vehicles to get into the field, which is
Good.
what one of the key issues was.
Yeah.
We'll go from there.
How many spots again?
About 48, I think.
48?
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting.
So any other questions as far as back to school?
Oh.
We're back.
We're back, and this is all good news so far. Excellent. All right, moving on to first reading of policy EFD, Student Food Services Accounts. And who's going to begin?
We're going to alternate back and forth.
Very good.
We're just gonna go back and forth to keep your attention, I guess.
So as far as just a reminder for those that are at home, this was a policy that came out back last May, and it was something through the, what was the USDA, because they oversee school programs with guidelines that we needed to put a policy in place as far as lunch balances. So Janice, does that summarize it okay, or?
That is correct. We need to have a written policy.
Great, we get going? Let's start it off. And thank you for your collaboration with the policy subcommittee to bring your ideas and your thoughts, and in particular, this policy, the addition which I think you added, which we're gonna read about, is this intro that talks about our vision, so I think there's some nice additions here that makes this us, makes it Foxborough.
Janice Watts, our Director of Food Service.
Oh, thank you. So this would be file EFD, Student Food Services Accounts. The Foxborough School Committee establishes the following goals: to establish a consistent district policy regarding the method of payment for meals, charge availability and collection methods for charges in the district's meal program, to treat all students with dignity at all times, to support positive interactions with students, parents and guardians, district staff to maximum extent possible, to encourage the parents, guardians to assume the responsibility of payments, and to promote self-responsibility of the student.
Administration of policy. The district is responsible for ensuring that the food services accounts are properly managed and accurately reported. The administration will closely monitor student school meal accounts with the goal of having all in good standing, thus eliminating negative balances and delinquent accounts. Parents, guardians will strongly be encouraged to make payments via the online payment system. By registering for an account, parents, guardians can choose to receive email alerts to low balances, set up automatic deposits to student's account, or schedule payments to add funds to the student account. The district administration will provide annual notice of how to assess the online payment system.
Definitions: good standing, a balance in the account of $0 or more. Negative balance or deficit accounts, a balance in the account less than $0. Delinquent would be an account which has a negative balance and no contact or payments have been received from the student or parents and guardians for 30 days after first notice.
Student accounts. Under no circumstances will a student be denied a lunch or receive an alternative lunch.
Blocks on accounts. Parents, guardians may contact in writing the food services director to place a block on their student's account to prohibit the purchase of a la carte items or to set restrictions for daily spending.
Refunds. For any student who has withdrawn, a written request for a refund of any funds remaining in the student's account must be submitted. For students who are graduating, a refund may be issued with a written request, or funds can be transferred to a sibling's account with a written request.
Remaining balances. Any positive balance may, remain on account to be used in the following school year, be transferred to a sibling's account, or be refunded to a parent's guardians with written request.
Balance notification. Parents will receive bi-monthly negative balance notifications via email from the district. Food service employees will not discuss account balances with students.
Deficit accounts. Monthly, when a student account deficit meets or exceeds the cost of 8 lunches, the food service director, principal, or designee will send a letter to the parents' guardians requesting immediate payment, will, if applicable, assist the family in applying for free and reduced price lunch. If the balances continue to escalate, there are no mitigating factors, and the parents' guardians has not made any payment in an effort to reduce the negative balance or fails to bring the student's account in good standing by May 1st, the business office may take the following actions on accounts with a deficit of $100 or greater. Deem the account delinquent, refer the account to a collection agency, initiate a claim in the court system. If a student's account is delinquent at the end of the school year, the business office may take one or more of the following actions unless or until prohibited by state law or regulation. Delay or refuse students' participation in fee-based extracurricular school services, refer the account to a collection agency, initiate a claim in the court system, and/or contact the Massachusetts District Attorney's Office, notify other appropriate state agencies. If a senior's account is not in good standing as of May 1st, the administration may take the following action: prohibit the student from participation in senior activities and/or graduations exercises.
Reimbursement to food service for deficit accounts. Bad debt must be written off as an operating loss and may not be absorbed by the nonprofit school food service account. Repayment of bad debt resulting from unpaid meal charges must be restored using non-federal funds at year end. These funds may come from the school district's general fund, special funding from state or local government, or any other non-federal sources. Collection efforts may continue into the next school year. Legal reference, Mass General Law 7172, USDA School Meal Program Guidelines, May 2017. Cross-reference JQ, Student Fees, Fines, and Charges.
So I think the last paragraph there is important for you to all remember. I bring this to you every year at the end of the year, and that is that if there is negative balances, the money has to come from our operating budget because there is no other sources, even though we're listing a few others there, which means we're taking it away from our educational programs. And it's not a choice, it's a requirement. So anytime parents or guardians decide that the school district, can afford to pay for their kids' lunches, what it means is we're taking away from other kids' educational opportunities. It's that plain and simple. So that's why, it's important that we do have options as far as trying to collect these things. If a parent so chooses to say that a child, shouldn't be charging because they're sending food in with something, again, that can be done within our systems and stuff. We're not going to do it, but the parent has the right to institute something like that. And we have had cases where obviously young students have kind of figured out the rotation here and decided to take the money mom and dad gave them and go to Cumberland Farms and have lunch on, the charge card here. So, and once we get the parents kind of understanding what's going on, they can address that, with their child. But so there are a lot of issues with having such a nice automated system. It's a great feature for parents. It makes it very easy. You can go right online, put money in, and not have to think about it for a period of time. You can go and see what they're buying. It's very accessible to you. So there's no question that if they're not if they're eating more than just their meals, or if they're not eating their meals and just getting a la carte, it's very easy to see that. So the system itself that was put in is great. It does a great job for us. It tracks things tremendously so we can see how we're doing and how the children are accepting the lunches within the different district schools and how well those are being accepted. So overall, I think it's a positive thing, but it does have this one shortfall that, quite honestly, any child coming up puts in their number, even though they may have a delinquent account, they're not going to be stopped, and they're not called out on it. If someone is on free and reduced, nobody knows that. It's a very secure and private thing. There's no notice to that. The charge just goes through on the system, and again, it's handled in the back room. So I think that's an important thing, because we do have families that could avail themselves of this and are so afraid that their child would be called out on it, and it's not the case. It's child A from child B going through that line. No one sees a difference. They plug in their number, and it goes through. And, quite honestly, that's why I think Janice does a great job trying to reach out to these families to, if they qualify, to let them have that additional benefit, in their lives, as far as making maybe something a little simpler for them, too. So,
And no one knows the difference.
nobody knows the difference. It's like I said, it's a very confidential and secure thing. You couldn't see it. It doesn't come up on a screen and pop up or say anything like that, so.
I think Rich and I, when we had our second meeting in this lot, we were kind of taken aback by the amount of people that still had outstanding debt at the end of the school year.
Oh, yeah.
What is the number?
Hundreds.
Roughly.
Yeah, well, there's,
No, I mean total, like dollar amount. So we're talking about how much money coming out.
Oh, at the end of a school year, where we've been supplementing probably in the 5,000 to 6,000 range. Now, we do continue to collect, and that's when obviously, Janice and her team aren't the collection agency. They're basically trying to do their job. They're putting notices out to parents. Parents are being responsible and make the payments in. It's not an issue. If they decide to ignore the whole thing, then it's left to Pam McCauley and myself, and we go after it. And quite honestly, I'm happy this policy's in place, because I really do think it's if they have made no effort to come to us and work with us at all, then I think it's within our rights to take them to court and try to collect the money. We have had some people that have literally gotten up to $600 and $700 for a family, and it's just gets kind of ahead of you when you start letting that happen. So.
Okay.
And this does reflect our practice now.
No one's getting a cheese sandwich.
No.
Just to be very
No
clear.
punishment.
I know
No-
that to
no
be the
punishment
case.
lunches.
No, because that's not right. I know, but it did used to happen.
I remember years ago in Brockton, before everyone got free, we used to have to pass out the letters at homeroom, and that was to the kids. And there's no contact with the students.
Completely confidential.
I
And
agree.
I think the other part too, and I can speak as a parent by using the system myself, my son's lunch balance started going down very quickly, and I know what I had deposited, but he was getting extra snacks. So I shut that right down.
Boys like to eat.
He wasn't going hungry, but at the same time, he saw it as,
free
lunch
money,
cart,
free money.
free reign. So, but that's the nice part as a parent. You can have
see-
oversight and see what they're purchasing.
Sure. And then you can have a conversation.
And then we have
say,
a conversation.
It's a teachable moment.
It is a teachable moment.
Yes.
And it's been amazing with the kindergarten parents, how many have signed up because they had to get their student ID. So I've been giving out dozens and dozens of student IDs. So I think that moving forward in the future, I think, the younger generation is just used to doing everything online. So it's
Everything.
kind of like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be enormously helpful in, stopping this from happening, because they do, my son, I have an 11th grader, I get the negative balance, not negative balance, but the low balance notices.
They're
And
nice to
I
have those alerts.
I appreciate it,
I
as
just
a
have
busy
auto pay
parent.
so that if it goes below $10, they add another, it takes care of it. I love that. I know there are some people who prefer to still do it, write a check and send it in, and that's fine.
Which is
But I
fine.
think
Yeah, we don't have a problem with that either.
yes, and we can certainly do it that way, but it does eliminate the, I forgot to send it. Or sometimes, you remember to send it, but it doesn't actually make it out of someone's backpack into the right hand.
No names mentioned.
No names mentioned, but it can happen, and there's no ill intent on anybody's part. But I love my school box. I think it's phenomenal. So, and I think you're right. I
Great
think
system.
more younger parents will continue to just
yeah.
sign up and be on board with it. It's great.
I think this also, that little portion there about delinquent accounts, although we don't have a lot of fee-based activities in the school system, it does put a statement in there about fee-based activities, which we technically could use as a resource to collect funding that's not there.
Well-
whatever those things are.
Yes.
That are
And-
not,
And we have used that as a general practice, and that's why I'm glad, again, it's in a policy, but, you look at it, and our fee-based things are extended day. which is added service.
But that's extra.
The ski
But that's what I'm
trip.
saying, we don't let them into extended day if they're not paying their other bills. Right.
What about the summer camp? The,
Pretty much anything that they are allowed to get into, we have the right to control down. Right. So it basically gives us that one piece there. And again, you know, I think in most cases, we have a handful that are problems, but in most cases, I think it's people just kind of, you know, not paying attention to it.
Yeah.
I would venture it is, you know. I would say this summer, to be honest with you, we collected probably 80% of it just through
That's good.
my office sending out letters and Pam tracking them through. So, you know, we still have a little bit out there to go after, but it's really not anywhere near what it was at the end of the school year.
Oh, great.
They did an amazing job. Like, I've never worked in a district that's been so supportive in that way, because, you know, people get a letter from me and they're like, big deal. You know what I mean? When we pull the big guns out, and well, I shouldn't say that, but that's the wrong expression to use, but the big guys out, they listen. So it has made a difference with getting some payments, which I would have never been able to do on my own.
It's an important message, because this district has worked very hard to not have fee-based services. And so people should not be whittling at it out of either disrespect or lack of attention.
Yeah.
So when we can get that 80%, that really is profound, because it just picks away. And we've worked too hard to establish something so powerful for the school system, so I'm glad it's working.
It's so beneficial.
Yeah, it's beneficial, because you're right, it's coming out of something else if it's not.
Well, it's
And that's
coming
not-
out of
that's not-
taxpayer dollars in our operating budget, so.
In something else that we have planned for our students, and that's not
Exactly.
acceptable. It's just not, so thank you.
And I'd like to thank the two of you as the sub-policy committee, and then with Janice as well, because we had a policy through MASC, and I know that through the work with Janice and really saying in our context and really thinking about Foxborough, that there was a lot of work. It wasn't a matter of just taking the MASC policy. A lot of work, the goals, as you had stated before, and really saying, well, what's our context here? So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So I guess we need to move this forward to a second reading at our next meeting?
I will entertain a motion to
I would
move
be
this.
happy to make a motion to move file EFD, Stewed Food Services Accounts, forward to a second reading at our next school committee meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Thank you, 500.
Thanks, Janice.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your work, Janice. And now, we have Superintendent's Goals 2018-2019. Dr. Berdos.
So as part of the educator evaluation system, you're familiar with this 5-step process, and part of that is, the beginning step is a self-assessment of, every licensed educator does this. And doing that self-assessment based on a rubric that has 4 different standards, a number of indicators, and up to 33 different elements. So in that self-assessment and thinking about myself in the first full year, I'm not going to be able to say that for much longer now when we think about the calendar here. But at the same time, thinking about what my goals are, coupled with the entry plan that I spoke at length about at the last meeting. So the entry plan itself is very large and has a lot of components to it. So where educators have a professional practice goal and a student learning goal, and then as administrators, many of us would have either a school or a district improvement goal or maybe another goal. So I have 4 goals here. The first one being my professional practice goal, which is to prepare and present the full superintendent's entry plan report by March 2019 to create a comprehensive overview of the school district in order to identify areas for improvement or that require further inquiry, and to develop strategy around those areas. So if you recall from the last meeting, that entry plan is very comprehensive, and the goal is to develop that strategy, really working in tandem with our strategic plan. So although it might seem short in the goal, it's very meaty in that professional practice goal. The student learning goal. This one I am very excited about. And the student learning goal is obviously something of how I can make an impact with students. And sometimes, too, we have shared goals. So I know that Allison is going to share this goal with me, which is to implement a superintendent student advisory council consisting of 9th through 12th grade Foxborough High School students to discuss current issues and issues related to education. This will provide an opportunity to gain students' perspectives about topics affecting our schools. Deeply valuing their input and involvement, the Superintendent Student Advisory Council will allow me to learn firsthand about students' educational experience, what they value about the Foxborough Public Schools, identify areas for improvement, and importantly, provide an opportunity for student voices to be heard. And the makeup of this, the idea is to have 2 students from each class. So 2 freshmen, 2 sophomore, juniors, and seniors. Freshmen would stay through their 4 years. So I really get a chance to know them intimately, and then they'll rotate off as they graduate, and then bring in new freshmen as they come in. And I went to the student council meeting last Wednesday night to do a little bit of recruiting. And the reason student council, because I want to be able to have their voice, but for them to be able to go back to a greater body. So if we're talking about things, they have a group that they can go and get feedback to bring that to our smaller group. We would be meeting monthly. So it will not interrupt their class schedule. It's going to be during a lunch block. So if they end up missing a piece of their class in communication with their teachers, it wouldn't rotate, but every 7 months, so we'll be okay. But I had a lot of students that raised their hands last Wednesday night that said, I'll do that. And I explained to them what I had explained as part of the entry plan, that they are our customers. We're here to serve them, and having their perspective helps us make better decisions for what we do in schools. And just educational topics. When I asked the group last Wednesday night if any of them had participated on any of the technology focus groups with me, some of them raised their hands, and so then I said, so you were the best part of my day. Just being able to be with the students and talk with them and get their perspective, I think, is critical to what we do, because again, that's why we're here. So that advisory group is something that Mrs. Myers-Packla also said, well, can I come and join in? So the excitement's there, and more so the students seemed really excited. So I've already had some students coming forward, and Sarah Burns and Holly Geffers are our 2 advisors for student council, so they're working with me in the recruiting effort, also to make sure that it doesn't impact students, because they're very busy. They are very busy. So it's something new. I'm looking forward to learning from them and having that opportunity to really be more closer with them. So that's the student learning goal. Any questions on the first 2?
I think that'd be very valuable.
We just might have another teaching and learning highlight that comes out of it. So
I think you're going to learn a lot from the students.
absolutely.
I think our students are not shy about sharing their opinions, and I think it's going to be interesting, and it dovetails really nicely with your first goal, which is to gain perspective, overview perspective, and I think it will help you with that goal as well. So, different insight.
I'm really looking forward to that. The third goal, district improvement. This is the same goal that is from last year that has to do with the OECD test for schools. Again, that's something that we elect to participate in, to be able to have some kind of a measure when we're talking about preparing our students for the global world that they live in. How do we measure that if that's what we're attempting to do so that they are globally ready? The OECD test for schools, which was administered to 15-year-olds back in April. We have those results in at the next school committee meeting. We will be talking about those results. I will tell you that we were pleased. Ooh, yeah. Yes, we were pleased. But it's not something that's one goal and done. It's something that it really connects to our strategic plan and continue with our curriculum program reviews too. It is so intertwined, and we learned a lot last year, but we're continuing to dive in to see where we can really make the greatest impact for our students and preparing them globally. The fourth goal which is to successfully conduct and conclude contract negotiations with professional educators and educational assistants and others. We have about 5 contracts that will be sunsetting, if you will, in June. And so to have those contract negotiations and partner obviously with the school committee to have those by September 1st of 2019, resulting in a new collective bargaining agreement. As you know, we have a wonderful relationship with our educators, and we've been able to continue for the last number of contracts without any legal representation. It's a very great working relationship on both sides, and we've been very successful with that very respectful relationship. And we will start that this school year, and hope to have those 5. It's 5, right, Bill?
Which are they? Teachers.
The teachers and the ed assistants, those are the 2 large ones.
Right, and then you've got food service, bus drivers, extended day, custodian and maintenance already done,
Right.
and
Crossing guards is already
So that should
done,
be it,
so
yeah.
yeah, that's it. So, and it does take a lot of time. So it's a very important goal, but it takes a lot of time and very worthwhile. So any questions on the goals or? Good. We're gonna be busy.
Yes.
Good student learning goal. I think superintendents could get stuck in a rut of not being with kids enough. And so for you to put that out front, that you want to make that a priority for you, that's monthly, whatever it is, it's not that you don't spend time with kids, but you could get easily removed, I think, as a superintendent, and I think it's really good. And also to have their student voice and that student learning component, I think is great too. You know, we can get student voice and ask them how the day is and this and that, but to actually make it about student learning and for your questions to be focused on that should be very powerful for you as well, so I think it's a good goal.
Thank you. I really
Excellent.
think as far as just education today, I know with my own personal children, my oldest is 22 today. And
Happy birthday.
Happy
John.
birthday.
The difference between my 2 older ones that are in college and then the high school and middle school, a lot has changed just within that time frame. And their perspective on education and topics within education, it's really fascinating to have those conversations and again, just to see where they're coming from.
Yeah, I think so. I agree.
Excellent. We accept them. Further questions on this? All right, we need to reschedule October 1st school committee meeting due to the conflict with the special town meeting. But personally, I don't see a problem with it. You know, there are many districts that have only 1 school committee meeting per month. And they just tend to be longer than ours, which they'd have to. And then there's another, it's very interesting, there's another system nearby where 1 school committee has nothing to do except academics, all that, testing, one time, and then the next, I mean, we have a potpourri of everything. Their next meeting, and they just alternate all year, is nothing but business, total.
Don't blame
So-
me.
No, I'm just saying. It's your fault, I mean,
You didn't
I
even smile when she
like-
said it either. Nothing but business.
No, well, you do so well, but I don't want to put you for a whole evening, so I'm not going to
Trust me, I don't wanna
recommend.
be for all evening.
I'm not going to recommend that Foxborough change. So, thoughts, questions? We do have 2 good meaty things coming up, Dr. Barados. So it would be a little bit longer, but they're both good news from what I understand.
So we have the culture and climate, K-12 culture and climate results. That would be at the next meeting, as well as the OECD test for schools, as far as 2
Very meaty.
topics.
So when's the next schedule, on 15th? Yeah.
Yes,
So just skip the first completely?
yes, and go to October 15.
That's what I would recommend. We don't want to meet on Columbus Day on the 8th, right?
No.
No. And it would be confusing if we tried to pull another night. I think if we keep to our Monday schedule, so many people, and I mean cable access. So our next, all right, so we are going to officially, may I have a motion, please, to,
I'll make a motion that we cancel our scheduled meeting for October 1st.
I'll second it.
all in favor? So our next meeting, we will convene on the 15th of October, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. School committee appointment, delegate to Mask Convention, which will be held in Hyannisport again. Hyannis, Mass, at the Resort and Conference Center on November 9. And we have some excellent workshops going to be presented.
I think it's the 7th through the 10th.
Right. Oh, I've got one of these. No, I just read I said the 9th is something special. Yes, the full day is 7 through 10.
I'm attending.
Yes.
I didn't know if we all said that, but I'll be there.
You'll be there.
Madam Chair, do you want to be our delegate again to the convention? You usually go for the entire time.
Yes,
You've
and
been our delegate and represented the committee very well the past few years that I've been on the committee. If you are willing.
I would be willing to do the entire time, because I can. So, most of the others of you cannot.
No.
But I would like to. I would like to.
Good school.
I would be delighted to move that our delegate be our chair, Ms. Lord, for the MASC convention.
I'll second that.
All in favor? I'll accept 500. Thank you. I find it very stimulating to meet people from all across the state.
I saw one of the days there, I think it might be the first day, I'm not sure I can be there, but they are focusing, one of the school committee seminars is on helping your new superintendent through her or his entry program.
Nice.
So it sounds like we might want to attend that one. Probably. So yes.
So, and then, I know all of you try to get down for at least part of it on one of the days.
We'll try.
Probably goes back to the 41 of us, the largest group
Yes.
ever.
I was about to say, that's what I think
I've
it
never
is.
noticed something revolving around a superintendent's entry plan in any of the previous ones that I've attended, so perhaps that is why, but it sounded like a
41
very
new
helpful
absolutely.
seminar to be attending, yeah.
And this one, look, the new bilingual law looks interesting under the legal. Anyway, there are going to be some very interesting. Oh, and Tina, did you notice school start times?
Mm-hmm, yep, it's a hot
That's,
topic.
I know.
It is.
All right, now we need a school committee appointment to the PCC, Project Contemporary Competitiveness Board.
So this is an annual appointment, so as a member for PCC, the superintendent serves on the board. This is a summer program, that's a 6-week program that takes place at Stonehill College for students that elect to participate. It is a residential program, meaning they come in Sunday night, they're there through the week, and then they go home on the weekends. The amount of different courses, from forensics to drama, there's so many different opportunities.
Aviation.
For students, aviation, there's so much for them to do. One of the things that they're, just as a sidebar, aside from the annual appointment here, is that because it's a 6-week commitment, that as a board, we're looking at what are some ways, because districts that have particularly had large numbers, or that may have only had, 1 or 2, which has been kind of our case. How can they have more students in order to continue the program? Because whether it's sports, or whether it's family vacations, or just not wanting to make a 6-week commitment is difficult. So we're looking at having a 3-week option, to where you could go for the 6 weeks, or you could do 3 weeks. So at the meeting coming up in November, the both Sue and Diana, because it's rising 7th graders and 8th graders now, they've gone down in order to have younger students be able to attend, as well as Laureen White from the guidance department. She's the guidance department head here. Will attend that and looking at what are some options as far as really making that viable of having a 3-week program.
3 weeks could work for a lot more people, and it is residential just during the week. The kids do come home on the weekend, but I like that idea of having an option for parents. I know 6 weeks sounds like an awful lot of time. Doesn't leave a lot of time for a family vacation if your child is committed to something.
They're very strict too, like you can't take your kid out for one
Well,
day.
right, that's why their programs are successful and really, the end result is pretty cool, but
The 3
but you
weeks,
can't.
I think, will be a lot.
I think you're right. I think 3 weeks
I mean,
is a
if
lot
that's,
more
I know, if that's an
manageable.
option, that's good. I think you get more possible takers.
So we have to, you're looking for us to appoint you
Yes,
back
please.
to this?
Mhm.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we appoint Dr. Berdos to the PCC Project Contemporary Competitiveness Board of Directors for the 2018-2019 school year.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Excellent. Thank you. And we have addressed our music account. So we are on to other matters. Who would like to start?
I've got nothing, I'm sorry.
Nothing to this
Nothing here
week?
either.
I'm very sorry.
Yeah.
Well, school year isn't full enough underway then. Tina?
Sure. I would like to take a moment and thank Mr. Yukna and the members of the school building committee for all the work that they have done to get the Borough School project to the point that we're at now. It's been I know, Bill has worked tremendously hard, and we're very lucky to have some great people on the permanent and municipal building committee and on the school building committee. Put in a lot of hours over the spring and summer getting this proposal together. Also, our architects and the OPM who's working with us, they've done a great job. So just want to encourage everybody to come to town meeting on October 1st and support the project, and hopefully we'll be moving forward with a very exciting new school, well, newly renovated school. I'm going to be precise about that. But I wanted to say that.
Thank you all for the work you did with the advisory,
I want to thank
the
you,
ad
Tina,
cam.
too.
I know, because that's a lot that we have their support.
Yes, definitely. I had a couple other things before we move
go
on. I happened to see that we had a 5th grade teacher who was on Wheel of Fortune this past week, which I thought was really cool. Mr. Golder. And I hear he did really well, so on Wheel of Fortune. I think that's very cool, and I just wanted to shout out to Mr. Golder for that.
That's pretty cool.
And also our music students, our FMA is doing a golf tournament fundraiser on October 15th during the day. I know I've seen some information on the FMA Facebook page on that, but it's their first big fundraising activity for their Australian trip. So hopefully that'll be, it's the first of many things that I know they have planned throughout the year. So in case we have any golfers on the committee, I wanted to throw it out there. And if you don't golf, they are having a lunch that I think you can buy a ticket for as well. So those were my 3 things. There's a lot of fun stuff going on.
We can go to the lunch.
I have already purchased my ticket for the lunch.
I am not a golfer.
I am not a golfer, but I like a
Pearson
good
is a
golfer.
golfer.
So it's at Foxborough Country Club on the 15th.
I know that place too.
Yes. Thanks, Bevy. Those were my 3
That's
things.
good. Well, I'm glad because I was unaware of the golfing. Mr. Pearson?
Nothing. All set here. Thank you.
I'm good.
You're good? Do you have any extras?
I do, actually. This week, actually on Wednesday, we have children's author Jarrett Krasaska. I always butcher his name a little bit. He is the author of a graphic novel series about lunch ladies.
Ooh.
And he has started a movement in the country about supporting lunch ladies, and lunch ladies are heroes in our schools. And he also has 2 TED Talks. One is very powerful about his life story, and he is an inspirational speaker about growth mindset and perseverance, and also how arts can transform your life and how art saved his life. So
Really?
he is coming to speak through the wonderful support of our PTOs and our PAC, he will be at all 3 elementary schools and the Ahern for 5th and 6th graders on Wednesday.
What time?
He starts at 9 and we're making the rounds. So we start at Taylor School at 9, so the first session is 9 to 10.
And then you're going,
And then I don't know off the top of my head, but you can ask me later and we go from the Taylor to, I think we made a change, so I'm not positive. I think from there we go to the Burrell, which I think starts at 10:30, and then we go to the Ahern for noon. I do know that one is 12 to 1, and then 1:45 is the IGO. I guess I did know.
So you 10:30 at Barrow?
I believe so, yeah. 10:15, 10:30. That was the one that was iffy.
Okay.
And then on sort of a more personal note, Mrs. Geffers invited me into her junior English classes as she has taken some training on project-based learning over the summer, and we launched the project that she's starting, and for me it was thrilling because I knew those students when they were second graders, so to see them as juniors was a really cool experience for me, and to see them getting so excited about this opportunity for project-based learning with a really, teacher who's been very innovative and always continues her own learning I just feel really fortunate to have had that experience, so just wanted to share
I know,
that.
it is so exciting that we have teachers that love learning so much. They are always continually
Yes.
learning.
It's such a great model for the students. It's great. So thank you.
You saying an author, I cannot remember offhand his name, but the Boyden Library is having a special author come, and he will be just giving his lecture at the Orpheum Theater here in Foxborough on the 26th of September. And
Okay, it's a Wednesday?
I believe it's the 26th,
Okay.
and he is the only thing I can think of right now, just pulling this off the top, he is the author of the book Wicked, which is the base for the musical. So if anybody is interested, and I'm letting the creative, actually I've gotten him a ticket already, for Mr. Mitchell, Walter Mitchell, the creative writing teacher. So that's something fun to look forward to if you like writing. And Madame?
So I think under the updates, I did a lot of information. The only other couple of things you had under other matters, you had the BIT auction date that's coming up in November. So that is the 2nd. The other piece, although, I hesitate at times to bring these numbers out because, and that is Boston Magazine's top 150 high schools. So we were number 50 if you go within the...
Number 50?
We were 50th if you go within the 495 belt. We were ranked 39th.
I was going to say, I thought it was lower.
Inside
So
the belt?
inside the belt, we were 39th. So again, we have multiple measures, but at the same time, I know that there was an article in the paper, so I just wanted to point that out because it's the criteria, it goes back to the community support too. It's when we look at the support of communities, we look at our student achievement, there's so many other factors, and it can go depending on, they don't always use the same criteria every year. But again, just wanted to make that note because it is the support of the community and the hard work of our students and teachers.
And I had the privilege of helping work for and attend today a very special, it's the Mass Access people for cable television and broadband. Foxborough Cable Access hosted it, and it was for the southeastern part of Massachusetts. There were 17 different communities represented there for cable access. And they're saying cable's going to be going, we're going to have to start calling it broadband. But the more I listened, I am so glad we chose our cable access to be our business partner. They are above all the others that I heard of. It was great. And then I do want us to remind you, because I won't see you again, we are all invited to the Spanish Exchange reception on Tuesday, the 25th.
I thought it was Monday, the 24th.
That's when they're arriving.
Oh, okay.
They arrive Monday, the
Session's at
24th.
2:15.
And I think it's 2:10 or 2:15.
2:15, I believe.
On Tuesday.
On the 25th, okay.
And I'll tell you, what a week for them to be coming. It's going to be Spirit Week. Nowhere in
That's
the
fun.
entire world are there high schools that do spirit weeks, because most of them don't have teams. You have to do, if you want to play your soccer or whatever you want to play, you have to go to your private clubs. So for the Spanish students to be here during Dress Up Spirit Week,
And homecoming.
and I know, it's, they're going to get a piece of Americana that nowhere else in the world.
Very true.
So I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor? And look, it's
Exactly on time.
8:35, exactly on time.
Very precise.